All right, listeners, ready for a deep dive into a time capsule? Today, we're digging into a story where religious freedom and mandatory military training at universities collided.
Buckle up, it's a real head-scratcher, this one. A story about individual beliefs versus the power of institutions, and get this, it ended up in court.
Oh, this one went all the way to the Supreme Court, and its ripple effects are still felt today. But let's rewind, set the scene, picture it, year time frame implied by source, the University of California, and a rule, a pretty ironclad one at that.
Right, we're talking mandatory military training for every able-bodied male student under 24. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Different era, right?
Totally. This wasn't some obscure campus quirk either. Loads of universities back then had these military programs baked right into their DNA.
They did. It was all about molding young men into, well, model citizens, potential soldiers, duty, honor, all that jazz.
Duty and honor. Until it clashed with deeply held religious beliefs, right? Because that's where our story really kicks into gear. A group of students for whom this military mandate was a non-starter, a line in the sand.
Oh yeah, major clash of principles brewing. On one hand, the university's power to shape the curriculum, and on the other, students standing firm saying, hold on, our faith doesn't jive with this whole military training thing.
No, that's a showdown.
Yeah.
So what did those beliefs look like in action? I mean, what was it about military training that directly conflicted with their faith?
That's the thing. The sources we're looking at, they're a bit light on specifics,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a safe bet we're talking pacifism, a deep-seated objection to violence.
Right, makes sense.
Or maybe their beliefs had strict rules against swearing oaths, which were pretty standard in military training back then.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Either way, imagine being told your education hinges on violating something sacred to you. Talk about a moral dilemma.
Definitely gives a whole new meaning to mandatory courses. So these students, they weren't about to just grit their teeth and go with the flow, were they?
No way.
Mm.
They were not backing down. This wasn't just about dodging a class. It was about standing up for something bigger, a core part of their identity. They took their fight all the way to the courtroom.
Gutsy move. So how'd that play out? Did the court say, hey, university rules are the law of the land, deal with it?
Well, the court's decision, it was a landmark one. They sided with the University of California.
Wow, really? So much for the little guy. But what was the reasoning there? Did they just brush aside religious freedom like it was nothing?
Not exactly. They acknowledged its significance, saying it's important, sure,
Mm-hmm.
but they made it clear it doesn't just trump all of the rules and regulations.
So where did they draw the line?
Their point was, essentially, nobody's forcing students to attend UC. If those rules clash with your beliefs, well, they said there's the door, find another university.
Interesting. So not a blanket dismissal of religious freedom, but definitely drawing some boundaries. It's
Yeah.
about finding that middle ground, right?
You got it. And here's the kicker. This case, it didn't just fade away. It set a precedent that still resonates today. We're still wrestling with these same questions about the limits of religious freedom, the role universities play in shaping values, even the whole power dynamic.
Hmm.
Individuals versus institutions. It's far from over.
Wow, talk about a blast from the past still echoing in the present. Makes you wonder, though, if the same case landed in court today, would the outcome be any different?
Now that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
It really gets at the heart of how we navigate a society that claims to value both individual expression and collective responsibility. This case, old as it may be, it's got a lot to say about where we stand today and maybe even more about where we're headed. Food for thought, listeners.
You said it.